You're listening to The Broken Meeple Show, a podcast that speaks passionately about board games for the benefit of those who play them. My name's Luke Hector, best known for the Broken Meeple YouTube channel, and I'm an everyday gamer just like you. And I'll be talking about reviews, top 10s, and just about anything that connects me to board games, as long as I have a tea or coffee in hand, that is. So grab a cup, relax, and enjoy. And remember, it's only a game. Hello everyone, got my tea in hand, chamomile tea and some squash, so I should be able to talk for a bit today. I'm going to experiment a little bit with the microphone. I'm going to have it further away from my mouth, because I seem to think I feel like it distorts a little bit if I talk too close to it. We'll all find out how that goes, but I'm in troubleshooting with Rode to see how much I can improve it. But yeah, hello everybody, it's Sunday the 14th of March, it's another video podcast episode, whichever way you want to listen to it. And not too much in this episode, I don't think. I'm kind of making it a bit more of a standard affair. I've got to go through some channel updates as per usual. I'm then also going to do some general news, really. I think I want to feature more news on this show, and I'm not talking like, oh, hot off the press, special release or anything. It's more a case of what's kind of happened in the last 2 weeks. I'll summarize it and then give my thoughts on it. So you may have heard of this stuff already, but maybe some of you haven't. Maybe some of you aren't able to keep up tabs with all the stuff that's happening in the board game industry, and this will still be useful. But yeah, I'll pick some choice highlights from the last 2 weeks, and we'll go with that. So hopefully that should be some fun for you from now on. And then we'll get on to the main meat, which I want to give my first impressions on Sleeping Gods. Sleeping Gods is the new Ryan Lockett game that has been released. It is so far getting very rave reviews from a lot of people, Dice Tower included. I finally got it. It is on my table right now underneath this lot and I'm playing through it. I'm almost done with the first campaign. I have thoughts that are good and thoughts that are bad. So this is one that I've been highly anticipating for a long time, and I want to give at least some first impressions here. So this is it kind of is a review, but it's a review after basically not finishing the first campaign yet. So, what I may do is a full review at some point in a later date, maybe like a blitz review, just to go over it as a final thing, or I might just stick with these first impressions, depending if my thoughts change. So moving on to channel content first, it's been a pretty solid week, actually. I mean, I've been kind of working for a giant backlog, and I'm almost seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Although I did a bunch of recording yesterday for Maglev Metro Blitz review, the Whistle Mountain detail review, and 3 Beyond the Base Game videos, I think. I did a Days of the Siege one for This War of Mine, and both Raiders of the North Sea expansions, so they're in the works of being edited. I will get round to Fractures of Time at some point soon. I know everyone's crying out for that one. It will happen. But more on that in a minute, actually. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the editing room floor. And as for what's been released, well, I mentioned Meadow I was going to do. And yes, this one has not been... it's not releasing today as originally planned, because I thought, well, I did a live stream yesterday, I released something on Thursday, and I'm doing this podcast today. And I was like, that's too much content. Too much content to have in a short space of time. So I'm delaying this one until at least Tuesday, if not Wednesday, of this week. So it is coming. It's just I want to spread this out a little bit so people can actually digest what I'm releasing. Not to mention I don't hit burnout trying to release 5 videos in the space of like 1 day. It's not kind of good for me on the sanity level. So yeah, Meadow is coming, but just expect it for another couple of days. Other than that, though, I did release earlier in the week the Honeybuzz review. So the Honeybuzz detail review, that's off to a slowish start, but it's not doing too bad. I've given it a positive review, although I did have some shortcomings as well. So if you want to check out my thoughts on the big, like, Elf Creek, beautiful looking game about bees engaging in economics, then by all means check out the Honeybuzz detail review. On top of that, we also have Eternal Palace, which was a Kickstarter that Alley Cat Games are doing. It's still ongoing. I am certainly keen to see this one do well, because I have played it. They sent me a prototype copy. I've played it, and I've given it a full review. Well, I say a full review. I've given it a pre-Kickstarter review. So I've given a verdict. I've given an opinion. I've talked honestly about it. Both good and bad bits about it. And if you want to know whether Eternal Palace is one for you, then watch this video and get my thoughts on it. Eternal Palace is essentially a It's kind of like I called it a Kingsburg killer because it's a light dice placement game of rolling dice, putting them on locations to trigger various actions, and it's done in a very similar way to Kingsburg. But this one looks more beautiful than Kingsburg. I think it's smoother in a way than Kingsburg in some areas, but it's also got a little bit more meat to it, to like, oh, I can get these cards on the side, or I can, do all this stuff, and it's beautiful. It has these art pieces that you put on a little canvas in front of you as a cool little gimmick. Like I say, check out my thoughts in the video and consider whether you want to back it. It's very cheap. Even for the deluxe version, it's pretty cheap going, and you might be able to get yourself something that's not like a £200 Kickstarter for a change, but by all means, check out that video. Apart from that, I think everything else you have seen already, although I must admit, looking at the channel in terms of views and engagement, it's a shame that, the detail reviews don't get as much traction despite how much time they take. But, I was quite surprised that the last content creator podcast that I did, the qualities of a good content creator, like what I look for, is not done particularly well on views, which is a bit of a shame. It'd be interesting if more people could watch that one. But I'm shocked by this video I did here, why I culled these games. I'm going to change this thumbnail because, actually, do I have the thumbnail still? I don't know. If I have the file, I will. But I tend to override these thumbnails on Snapper. So I'd said March. I think these are going to be just as and when I do cull games. I don't think it's going to be a monthly thing. But this one's like at 8,000 views at the moment. That's ridiculous. I mean, most of my top 10 lists don't even get to 8,000 views. It's insane. And all just so that I could say why I was culling 4 games. Apparently this is the thing now, and I'm shocked why. When I started this blogging thing, it was like the whole idea was, oh, what's the new game you've got? I want to know about new games you've added to your shelf. And then all of a sudden, 6-7 years later, it's kind of like done a 180. And now we're like, okay, what games are you getting rid of now? What are you really not liking? It's like, huh? What happened? I think because the industry has got to a point since then where there's so many games now, it's ridiculous. I mean, 2013 time, it was starting to pick up a bit, the industry, but it still wasn't quite like overwhelming. But now there's so many games getting released, it's like, yeah, you know what, people are more interested in seeing what stands the test of time rather than just buying the new hotness. Well, with the exception of some people that are still pretty much cult of the new. But hey, I'm not going to knock 8,000 views on the video. I mean, I guarantee I'll do more of these. When I cull games, I'll put another video out and I'll let you know my thoughts. And like I say, it's obviously content you want to see. I enjoyed making the video. It was easy to make from an editing point of view, so I'm cool with that. In terms of live, in fact, yeah, well, actually, before I get onto live content, there's actually one thing I want your opinion on, chaps. If you can put it in the comments, that'd be great. And I think I'll put a poll on the YouTube community tab as well. But I'm contemplating, you know what I'm like. I like to do this as a kind of variety content show. Yes, people like reviews and top 10s, but I kind of like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Find that niche. Find something that hasn't been done before and give people entertainment. So, the cull games list, hasn't been done by many and people find it popular, so great, I'll do them. But what I wanted to also think about was I like reaction videos where I watch like Angry Joe and a few other people react to film trailers. Now, I'm not talking about film trailers here, but what might be interesting, and I could do this partially to go with my support small creators thing, although I will look at some big creator stuff as well, is if I see a video that I can comment on or I have strong opinions on, I'm wondering whether it would be interesting for me to go on StreamYard, pre-record, so not live, and basically skim through the video while giving my comments on it, like a reaction video. Tom Vassell did a similar thing when the rest of the Dice Tower crew did a top 10 list when he wasn't there. Top 10 games Tom is wrong about. That was funny as well. I disagree with a ton of the stuff they put on there, but, it was funny. As funny as anything to watch it. But I thought I might do that. The first video I had in mind was Board Gaming Ramblings are doing the Keep or Cull series, and I've yet to catch up on their latest video. But I thought, well, why don't I put it on StreamYard? And I'm not going to go through the entire video second by second. No, I would skim through it, give my thoughts, and then I'll watch it in full afterwards or something. This would be a skim through it for entertainment and then watch it in full for afterwards for my own viewing pleasure. Like when I'm cooking later or something. But I thought that might be interesting because then I could skim through the video, look at what they're planning to keep and cull, give my opinions on the game and whether I agree with the keep or cull thing. And it just might be interesting, I mean, I'm partially supporting them by publicizing their video, but then, because obviously I want people to watch the videos I'm watching, but then I'm also giving my thoughts on games, and it's just something different, because I don't think any other channel does this. And sometimes you got to find a unique niche. It wouldn't be too difficult to edit either, because it's pre-recorded on StreamYard, so all I've got to do is bolt on an intro and an outro and get it out there, although I might throw some movie clips in there, because you know me, I love using them. But yeah, it wouldn't take too much hassle, and it would only be my voice, so I haven't got to worry about a second person's audio either. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'm probably going to record it later on and do it as a trial, but I'd be interested to get your thoughts now as to whether you like it. Also, to get your thoughts on the poll when I put it up. And then if I do a trial video and release it, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that. And then finally, just for live content, I would really like you to check out 2 videos I've done. First is my Q&A that I did this week. It was a very feisty Q&A, I think. I was certainly off my rocker, I think. Lockdown plus coffee was essentially taking its toll. I certainly had strong opinions on a lot of things here. But yeah, I was really... it was a good stream. There was a lot of things going on. There was a lot of topics being discussed, and I thought it was quite a solid stream. I really enjoyed it, and I would obviously like more people to come on to those Q&A chats. You don't have to stay for the whole 2 hours, because I know they're long. You can come for 30 minutes and leave. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to watch from start to finish, but it'd be cool to just have you turn up and just ask questions. Ask questions, and they don't have to be board game related. Make them ask me my favorite ice cream flavors or something. It'd be good. Why is that not saving my changes? I need to put that in a playlist. That's better. But on top of that, I would also love for you to check out yesterday's live stream I did. Now, this is long, 2.5 hours. I've given up trying to make live streams short, because frankly, some people don't care, and frankly, I want to talk about games with people that I think are cool. So why do I want to cut it down? Honestly, short videos are for TikTok. YouTube is for quality content. But what we did is I teamed up with Mark Dainty, so support small creators hashtag as always, not board gaming. Go check out the channel. In fact, I won't. Actually, I know. Well, I'll view it on YouTube, and I'll turn the sound off so you can't hear it on the podcast. But essentially, what we did is we talked about our Lacerda solos. So we went through on live 2.5 hours, and we spoke about every single Vital Lacerda solo mode that we've played. And this is CO2, which I haven't played, but Mark has, so we went over it. The Gallerist, we went over. Lisboa, Vinos, Kanban, Escape Plan. Although I haven't played the solo mode for Escape Plan, so I let Mark take the reins on that, because I don't like Escape Plan. But certainly Kanban I love. And we went over on Mars, and then we spent time with a bit of Q&A with the chat, talking about Lacerdas and our thoughts on solo modes in general. It was a long stream. And it was exhausting playing all these games solo, but we had a blast. It was good fun, and I would strongly even if you don't watch it, just listen to it in podcast form. You don't have to see the pictures I'm putting up. Just listen to us. Put it on your car journey next time, or when you're cooking, or when you're doing your work. If you're bored at work, just put it on in the background. That's perfectly fine. But it was a great video. I would love to see this get some more love. Mark's great. He's a lovely guy, and he really does know his stuff when it comes to solo modes, because that's pretty much his bread and butter. And, his channel was a great one, so by all means, have a look at it. Let's see if I can bring it up on the screen for you people watching on YouTube. Not Board Gaming. So, like I say, check out his channel, check out what he has to say on... Oh, sorry, that's Never Board Gaming, although check out that channel as well. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one there. This is the problem when you've got similar names to each other. But not Board Gaming. I do apologise there. Just under 3,000 subscribers. He's not fussed about doing, ridiculous... he hasn't got, the budget to do 4K cameras and all sorts of studio work and that. These are very... what I would call kind of amateur style videos, but it's his thoughts, and he does make a lot of good points. He says a lot of cool stuff about these. He's done top lists for solo games, he's done unboxings, he's done all sorts of these things like Dune Imperium, and which he's even done a cull video himself, which I must admit don't agree with a lot of the stuff he's culling, but how dare you. But Dwellings of Eldervale, Apex Primal, Kanban EV, Post-Human Saga, FF Fields. You know, he's done a lot of solo reviews, and I like his stuff. I like his opinions, and it was great to have him on the channel because I thought I needed an even bigger solo expert than me to talk about these Lacerda solos. And we fried our brains learning all these rules and playing these games the last week. But I think it was worth it. It was a good, fun stream, and, you know, I enjoyed myself. So by all means, I reckon you should do it as well. Go check it out. Support his channel. # support small creators. In fact, yeah, we'll just make that the channel shout out promo for this week. Not board gaming. Check it out. You know, check out the stream, see what you think. Then go check out his channel, and by all means, support small creators. So yeah, I think that segued quite nicely into that one actually. Okay, so on to a little bit of news, you know, just talking quickly about various bits and bobs. So I'm just going to go over a few things that I've kind of highlighted, give my brief thoughts. Let's start with the big one, shall we? Asmodee with, yes, I talk about big creators becoming the Asmodee of content creator, like, absorption, you know, especially with the Watch It Play conglomerate. Well, you know, it's the same sort of thing happening with Asmodee. They've been acquiring a ton of publishers, and they are not stopping. They are going, like, all board collective on this thing after acquiring Plan B and Eggertspiel. So Eggertspiel have done things like Heaven and Ale, the Camelot reprint, Coimbra, I think they did a sequel-ish to Coimbra as well. You know, they've done a lot of these like Euro-style games. And Plan B obviously did Azul. Their spin-off Next Move did Reef, which I prefer to Azul. But I'm not sure who the other one is there. Who's that other one there? Oop, see if I can scroll down. Pretzel Games. Okay, I don't know a huge amount about Pretzel Games specifically, but you know, like I say, they have acquired effectively this group, this conglomerate. So yeah, they're still continuing. I personally don't have a problem with this yet. I don't want there to be a massive monopoly all by one thing. So if Asmodee could slow down a little bit, that'd be nice. But so far, I haven't noticed anything negative that's come from this, apart from possibly because I think they acquired Fantasy Flight, and Fantasy Flight has gone a little bit downhill lately with their new releases and that. So that's a potential worry, although I wonder whether the Fantasy Flight was already on that kind of road before Asmodee took them over, as opposed to afterwards. But I've not seen any problems with the other people that are under Asmodee's branch personally, at least not in the UK. I don't know if that's different in America, you know, American Asmodee compared to UK Asmodee. You know, I get on well with the UK Asmodee lot. And so, yeah, I mean, we'll see how this goes. I wonder who's next. I wonder who is next. But if this means that games can get wider distribution, then is that much of a problem? You know, I like stuff from Plan B. I like stuff from Eggertspiel. You know, their production quality has really gone nice on some of their Euros. So, you know, I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm not too worried yet. We have a new expansion coming later this year for Keeper called Keeper at Seas. This is Richard Breeze giving like a 2-module expansion to Keeper. Now, I didn't know that Keeper really needed an expansion because, frankly, I have played Keeper. Keeper is fine. It's an interesting, innovative concept with the whole sort of like folding in on itself board that you use. But man, the rulebook was an absolute nightmare to get through in this. The downtime was pretty high because people are constantly trying to figure out which way to like maneuver their board and do their actions. It's impossible to get rid of analysis paralysis from this. And it was quite fiddly in how a lot of the stuff worked. Like, I could barely understand half the rules after going through it a couple of times. But did it really need much more in the way of complexity? I mean, we're getting a new, like, solo mode version by David Turksey, which could be cool. You know, shallow water and deep water board, so another folding seaboard, a fish market, seasons on different turns. It's like, whew, this is going to provide more opportunities, more, shall we say, complexity, and of course solo modes and that as well. But I mean, I didn't dislike Keeper, but I just thought it was, if anything, I don't want an expansion for this game. I want a reworking of it, or at least a better rule book. Because, you know, sorry, you know, R&D Games, Richard Breeze, but as much as I like Keyflower, it's on my shelf, and as much as I give Keeper respect, rulebooks are not your strong point. So, you know, it's always a little bit harder to play these games than it should be. And this one, as I say, was not the most... I mean, I like this board. This whole fold-out board thing was cool. But like I say, very fiddly, very complex, and analysis paralysis like crazy. It just put me off wanting to keep Keeper. So I hang on to keep Flower, but not Keeper. This key thing is getting a little ridiculous, but well. Like I say, if you're into Keeper, I have not seen anyone play this game in years. I thought it was pretty much died. I thought it was like non-existent, but an expansion's coming out, so clearly there must be some people who like it. So if Keeper is your thing, then by all means, you know, come Essen time this year, I think you're going to get another expansion. So happy days for you. Okay. Stellaris, Infinite Legacy. I've mentioned before about my video games that I like Stellaris. It's a space epic civilization building game on the PC with Paradox Interactive. They do very complex games. I barely understand half of Stellaris even after playing through several campaigns of it. There's so much to learn in it, and I can only do so much. But I've enjoyed my plays. I've played it solo and multiplayer with some friends. We're probably going to do another multiplayer campaign at some point once we're done having fun on Raft, which is another fun Steam game at the moment. But I was really excited when I heard Academy Games was doing this. I mean, Academy Games have got very good pedigree for doing these kind of epic civilization-style games, and you know, if they're them doing a Kickstarter for this, I think it's going to be cool. And there is a Kickstarter, so by all means, have a look on Kickstarter and search for Stellaris Infinite Legacy, and you will find it. You're going to have, you know, miniature. It kind of looks a little bit like Eclipse from its layout, and I hope it's not playing like Eclipse, because I hate Eclipse. But you know, you've got miniatures, you've got space board hexes, and the idea is that you'll be able to use the storage box for your race that has the tokens and bits in it as your player screen to show your ethics, your politics, your alien race, your home world, and all that stuff from the game. You'll be able to really customize your alien race, and you'll have combat, you'll have the 4X, so expand, explore, exterminate, and explore, expand, exploit, exterminate. There we go. It was a little bit short there, but you'll be able to do all that, and I'm very keen for this to work. Please work. I have already early bird deluxe pledged this. It's not cheap though. I will say it's not the cheapest Kickstarter in the world. Academy Games don't make a lot of games, so their Kickstarters are a little bit more expensive than the average game. Also, they're doing it in the way I'm not a fan of, which is that they started off with a bare bone knowledge of what the game's like, and then they are like releasing more as time goes on. I would rather that you had this stuff in place already and you kind of revealed it at the start and then added a little bit of extra later on. But yeah, people are getting a little bit put off this Kickstarter because so little has been revealed. Like, they haven't even finished the rulebook yet. It's soon to come out, but have the rulebook ready before you launch the Kickstarter. So as much as I'm not a fan of the way they're running the Kickstarter, I am placing a lot of faith in Academy Games and this IP with Paradox to make this work, because I really want an epic space civilization game in my collection. Empires of the Void 2 is fantastic. I love it, but it's kind of 3X rather than 4X, and it's more of a lighter touch, but it's still amazing. Love it. Thematic space game. But hate Eclipse. Twilight Imperium is too long for what it is. Never played. What was it called? I forget who posted it out. It was an old space Exodus Proxima Centauri. Yes, never played that, but component-wise, it looks a bit naff, so I'm not a fan. So for my next news item, I had a slight technical glitch, so that's why you got the fade bit there. But basically, Robinson Crusoe is getting a collector's edition. This is the YouTube video that you can find for Agnasty's live stream about what this Game Found campaign is going to be. I'm going to talk briefly about it because I've already done it once before I realized the technical glitch. But essentially, you will be able to cherry pick these particular items from the campaign, and there's some really good stuff in there. I mean, if you own this, the second edition version, you don't need this set in full, because it's essentially a bigger box with the same components in. They're not changing the artwork apart from the box cover, and you know, the internal stuff will be the same. But what you'll be able to get in addition, if you want to upgrade like I do, you could get some miniatures for the explorers, some really good detailed miniatures, which I think that I think he said they're doing something with Awakened Realms for these miniatures. I think that was who they were saying. So they do good miniatures, so you know these are going to look good. But here's the two highlights. One that I think this game really needs and one that I want. Firstly, what this game needs. The open and play campaign. Joanna is going to do a walkthrough mini campaign of teaching you the game, going through some easy scenarios and showing you how the game plays. Fantastic. This game needed that so badly. It was like, trying to learn this was a problematic when you put it down for a while. Even though the second edition rulebook's a lot better, it's still a lot of rules. It's still hard to learn the game again. This walkthrough campaign, no, even for me, if I haven't played it in a while, I'll be able to play through this and go, oh yeah, that's how this works, that's how this works. And honestly, for new players, this is going to be ideal. What I'm after mainly, though, is that book of adventures there, that book of adventures. This one is essentially going to give me a book full of scenarios, variants on the old ones, brand new ones invented by Portal, and fan-made ones that he did in a contest. So that's gonna, like, the replay value for this game is going to skyrocket when that thing comes out. Can't wait for this. I'm always a fan of games just saying, look, don't give me a ton of extra complexity, just give me more ways to play it. And that's what the book is gonna do, and I can't wait. Bring it on, that's what I say. Okay, what's next? Nope, there is no more news on that, so we're going to wrap it up there. So let's get on to the meat, and that is Sleeping Gods. Now, Sleeping Gods, it's on the table. I've been playing it a lot. I'm almost done with the first campaign, and I have good and bad things to say about this from a first impressions standpoint. So first off, what on earth is Sleeping Gods? Well, Sleeping Gods is a story narrative campaign game. It's kind of like, if you imagine of Above and Below came first, Near and Far was the evolution of Above and Below. Well, now Sleeping Gods is the evolution of Near and Far. This one has you going on an adventure in a kind of like archipelago setting. So you go to these various islands with your ship, and you get you've got numbers for a script book that you essentially, oh, if I can reach it from here, it's not spoiling, but, you know, essentially a book of scripts that you read through for stories. You've got a map and a journey log that you can mark down where you've been and keywords that you need to find for certain quests and that. And you have a crew of 9 people, which you share with the players or control all by yourself, which, don't worry, I'll get onto that later. You get equipment, you get weapons, you go to ports, you find, you know, you're trying to find a bunch of totems so that you can get off this archipelago. Long story short, you're here against your will. You need to awaken the sleeping gods. To do that, you need to find totems. And I don't know how it ends because I haven't got there yet. But you know, you find equipment, you find weapons, you get new allies, you get damaged, you have to repair, you've got, you know, all sorts of cool stuff that you do from a story-driven campaign. And it's like, I mean, as you can see, there's a lot on your table, but it's not that complex of a game. But we'll get onto that in a bit. But oh man, is it beautiful! I mean, this has got unique artwork from Ryan Lockett all over the place, and I will say this is the first positive. This is such a beautiful game. That you know, the map, little spiral-bound atlas book for sailing your ship around is lovely. The shipboard, the characters have all got backstories with all that unique artwork. All the cards are unique. Ryan, I don't know how you do this, man. You are an absolute machine when it comes to doing all this art and story. I mean, this is basically his like life's work passion project. So yeah, if you want aesthetics, top notch, 10 out of 10, no problem whatsoever. But in terms of learning it's not too bad. The rulebook is not perfect. There are some ambiguities in it and some key bits that are missed out. Now, some of it you can take for granted, especially if, like me, you're already a gamer. But you know, there are certain things like, for example, the ability cards. You draw cards from a deck, not only to equip them on your people as abilities, but also as draw fate. So you draw fate, and it's kind of like the simulating rolling the die, except you've got a bit more control over what it is. Although I say a little bit of control, not that much control. It's still essentially a die. But the thing is, though, is that when it runs out, you assume, okay, I just shuffle all the ability cards and go again. The book doesn't tell you that, though. And I know that's a slightly silly example because you're probably thinking, well, of course you shuffle it and redeal out. What else would you do? Well, we know that as gamers. What about someone new to gaming comes along and does that? They're going to ask the question, and it's not in the book. And there's a few other little occasions like that where something that should be mentioned is not in the rulebook, or if it is, it's not easily found, and I haven't seen it. So, you know, there are some little issues with that, but rest assured, it's not like the game is impossible to learn. The rulebook itself is not difficult to read, you know, it's just that there are some of those ambiguities in there. But you do get a pretty decent quick start guide, so you can essentially do what I did. I just went straight into this. No videos, no nothing. I just went straight into this quick start guide. It takes you through a tutorial mission, a starter to the campaign in a sense. You just follow it word for word. It will take you through the mini tutorial, like pretty much hold your hand, and then the first two turns of the campaign, and then you're on your own and you go. But honestly, the majority of the rules you will get from this, and then you just read the actual rule book to fill in the blanks. So I didn't have too much trouble getting into this. In fact, I found it easier than it was easier than I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be a lot more complex, but it's got some similar ideas from his other games. So I suppose if you have played a lot of his other games, you will get this kind of feel from it. And yeah, overall, I thought not too bad. But yeah, the rulebook is not perfect. I will warn you about that. Gameplay. Now, this is, well, actually, well, let's do that. I mean, replay value, you know it's got a lot. I mean, I have got Tides of Ruin down there, a mini expansion with the Kickstarter and that. I haven't even touched that. I've not thrown it in. That is a complete expansion with new content, new maps, new things to find. I haven't even touched it. You know, I am literally playing through just the base game content. And I mean just the base game content, because there's even a modular expansion in the base set called Dungeons, with like dungeons you can go to and stuff like that. I haven't even opened that. I am literally playing through the basic version of the game, like what you would get in a retail copy with no extra additions. And there's still a ton of maps in that atlas. There is still a bucket load of items you can find. There is still a lot of quests. There's a lot of places to go, and you will not be able to see it all in one campaign. I dare say you would not be able to see through it in like 5 to 10 campaigns. There's a lot of content in this game, and that's a good thing. So replay value off the charts. You know, I'm not going to get bored with this game from a replay value perspective anytime soon. But now we need to get onto the gameplay, and it is mostly a hit. But there are some misses as well, and quite a big one that I need to mention. So you better get ready. Gameplay-wise, it's good fun. Micromanaging 9 characters as a solo player, bear in mind I have only played the solo, is fine. All it is that the characters have got a couple of abilities they can each use. You can put cards on each, and they've got a basic weapon between them. But other than that, that's pretty much all you need to know about the characters. You just lay out all 9 in front of you and like deal with them. So that's not that difficult even as a solo player. So I don't think you're going to be overwhelmed. But going around and doing the exploration, doing your ship action at the start of your turn, during a random event and that, all that is really good. And I'm enjoying the stories that come out. I mean, we're not talking the most detailed stories ever. This isn't like this War of Mine levels of it, like grit and, you know, depth. But it's like simple short stories, but it's still part of an overarching campaign, so stuff does link together. You do sort of notice, oh yeah, I came across that earlier. Well, now I found it over here. Great. And as you're marking on your map, it's like it's done by keywords. So like if keyword snake, go to this paragraph rather than continue on. And you go to there and you think, well, I don't have snake, but let me just make a note of that. And then later on, you find the quest that has the keyword snake on it. And it's like, oh, I can go back there and go find out what was in that bit. And there are some that I still haven't found out where they are. So, and I've been barely touching what, like 4 page, like, well, this double page spread and one other double page spread of a map I barely even touched. There's a lot of stuff you can do, honestly, and I could play this right now with a brand new campaign, sail off in the opposite direction and find completely new stuff. I mean, that is really cool. I like micromanaging the characters. The turn sequence is pretty straightforward. You do one ship action, you know, which just means putting your meeple on a particular quarter, which gets you command tokens and various other stuff. And then you draw an event card, which progressively get worse and worse. You go through the deck about 3 times before the campaign ends. About 18 events. So you're talking 18, 36, 54. That's the way it's going. I mean, still don't know exactly how it ends, but that's the way it's looking. And you also have combat. And, well, you do a couple of actions, and that can be to explore the book of scripts or go to a port, buy from the market, get more stuff, that sort of thing. It is open-ended like you wouldn't believe, though. You do what you want. Do what you want in this game, no questions asked. Now, the combat is actually something I quite like as well. I don't know if it will show any examples of it, because like I said, I don't want to spoil too much here. Here we go. This is perfect. So this is an example of something that you might find in combat. And they basically have defense value on the right with the skull thing, damage value above it, and they have a grid below them with hearts and various other effects, like plus damage or various effects or just their health. And it represents body parts. So what you do is you have action cubes that you can use to activate your characters, and you draw fate, fling with a weapon, see if you hit. When you deal damage, you allocate them on that grid. As long as they're adjacent, you can't do diagonals, but you cover up the spaces. So if you cover up the bonus damage 2 there, for example, on the right there, then that means it will do 2 less damage back to you, because at the moment it's doing 3 plus that. So it's currently doing 5. But if I cover that up, it will only do 3. It's weakened. But then it's got health of 4. So I've got to cover up these 4 hearts. But you can't go diagonal, so I need to do at least 5 damage to it in order to take it out. And this is an easy enemy. Trust me, they get a lot harder very, very quickly. And we'll get onto that in a bit. But the other thing is that, it's got like adjacent Mythian attack +2. So it's like, well, if I don't want him to help his friend because you laid him out adjacent side by side when you're attacking, then I need to cover that ability. Or I just kill him off. And, head, body, legs, arms, it's a really good thematic way of doing combat. I really, really like it. And on top of that, you've got the little red diamond there that you can see. These are synergy tokens, which you have on each character. So each character's got one of these, and basically when they do damage and cover up one of those red diamonds, you get to take this token and put it on a different character that's in the game, and it gives them a bonus for their next attack, plus accuracy, plus damage, or some other cool ability, like redraw the fate card, whatever. And I love that, because then you're thinking, well, if I cover up this, I can get rid of that ability, but then if I cover up the synergy, that means I can give this accuracy to the captain, who doesn't have a lot of plus to hit, but has a rifle for damage, so therefore I want her to hit. So let me attack first, do that, then use the synergy on her. She attacks, gets another synergy, uses that synergy on another person. It's really cool. Now, with multiple players, it's a little bit more restricted because you're controlling only so many characters each and you've got to go in a turn order. But in solo, it's great because I get to do all this cool puzzle solving with the 9 characters while doing this combat. I really do enjoy the combat. But and this is going to go on to the next point. So I've been raving about this game. There's cool items, using the command tokens as a cool puzzle, maintaining your resources. It's got a lot of different mechanics thrown into it, and it really is, overall, a solid game. Like, minimum 8 out of 10. But here's the problem. And this is the thing that's kind of keeping it as an 8 at the moment. But even though I want it to be a 9, I don't think it's quite a 10. But this is a problem. It's way too hard. So hard, this game. It can be. Oh my word. And I'm starting to get a little bit sick of this when it comes to publishers doing this. There is no need for games to be stupidly hard when we are, playing these kind of campaign games. I don't know what the obsession is with making these games so hard that it's a nightmare to even remotely get through them. You can play this on normal mode, which is the basic mode, or brutal. I am convinced that if you are someone who is playing this on brutal, you are psychologically impaired and you need to be committed, because this is brutally hard on normal. Playing it on brutal, where the first time your crew lot die, you're dead, like constantly, yes, it's more realistic, but it's ridiculously brutal. But why is it so hard? Well, it doesn't start off that hard. And there are some strategy tips in the book, although you don't find them out until the end of the rulebook. It's kind of like, no, you need to mention these a bit more prominent in the book, mate, for these tips. And especially not on a Kickstarter update. But you go through that event deck, and you start off with normal, and then perilous, and then deadly events. The normal ones are fine. They're nice, they might get you a little cool bonus, they're cool. It's kind of like the sweet spot. The perilous ones are a little annoying, but you can get by them, or you can sort of like take the damage, it's not so bad. The deadly ones are just outright brutal. Like, they are huge skill tests, require major repercussions for failing it. Not even the best, like, no reward, it's just don't have these repercussions happen, but if you don't pass these tests, which is not easy to make these tests, these deadly events just completely cripple you like crazy. It is mad. And worse still, when the event deck runs out, you have to do this thing in the book, I won't spoil, but basically you then have to get rid of all the abilities that you've put on your crew, all those abilities that you've equipped, not your XP ones, I'll get onto that in a minute, but just the ones you've equipped from the ability fate deck, all of them are gone. They're all gone as soon as the deck refreshes. Wow. Seriously? You basically just wipe out all those abilities? No, that is too much. On top of that, if you fail to do what happens when the deck runs out and that, you have to get rid of the top 6 cards from that deck, so you are left with just perilous and deadly events. That's insane. That is way too much. And it gets worse. The combats, I mean, it says in the strategy, start in the starting map and keep going around there as much as you can. I did. I mean, I didn't leave the starting map location until nearly the end of the first deck shuffle. And even then, the second you go next door, it's like, wow, the difficulty just shot up quite a bit. And it's not like the starting area is a pushover. There's still some pretty hard combats in there. You come across like stuff that is apparently supposedly very easy or normal difficulty combats, and they can really mess up your crew in terms of damage. So you got to go to a port and heal them. Problem is that costs money. You don't get a lot of money in this game, but you need money in order to get the equipment and the weapons that the game tells you need in order to survive. Well, stop making me have to spend all my money just to heal up my crew. Okay, you can get recipes to cook that will heal up your crew. It only heals them up so much, and there's only so many resources in the game, so it's, I'm kind of like really on the back end here. But everything just kind of forces you to spend a lot of time prepping up and healing up from when you've just been decimated by a combat that you probably won, but you still take a lot of damage, because when you're in combat, you attack, and then the creature automatically attacks back. So it automatically does. Every time you attack it, it doesn't exhaust, it just straight up attacks you back. And then when the combat round ends, like you've used up your 4 tokens, everything that was in the combat then attacks again. Can you imagine taking this kind of damage? I mean, bear in mind, most of your guys have only got 5 health. 6 health maybe? 7, I think, on 1. It's doing nearly 2 or 3 damage every time you attack it, or 3. You can block it, but not a lot of people have any block value, so most of the time you're just taking hits, and the ones who have high block generally don't have high damage, so you're still taking damage. And I mean, look at this Titanic Centipede there. I mean, this is the equivalent of a normal difficulty boss, so this isn't even like one of the harder ones. You've still got that 4 damage there. I mean, if you don't cover that instantly, you're going to take 7 back. 6 defense. Most of the monsters I'm facing are like 7 defense at the moment, and it's hard because you've got to use your characters. Most of them don't have more than +1, +2 accuracy. You're drawing from a fate deck, and the numbers range from something like 1 to 9, but most of them will be in the 2 to 5 and 6, 7, 8 range. But and to be honest, I've not actually seen any 8s and 9s in there. I think they're really rare. I think most of the stuff I'm drawing is 2, 3s, 4s, and 5s. 2, 3s, 4s, and 5s, I think, are the main things I'm drawing. And with that said, that means to hit something that's a defense of 7, I need like ridiculous luck in order to be able to get around it, or a really good weapon, but the weapons cost like 15 coins a piece. You'll be lucky if you ever see double-digit coins, let alone 15. It's insanely hard. Now, this is kind of impacting my enjoyment of the game, because I'm having to house rule 1 or 2 things as I play through this campaign, because when that deck runs out and you reshuffle it, losing all your abilities is already painful enough. You have a choice of succeeding or failing the bit that comes up. If you fail, you have to get rid of those good events, but you get to heal up everybody. Okay, fine. But then if you succeed at the thing, you still have to get rid of all your ability cards, and you don't heal up. Well, no, sorry. You basically decimate me with this, and you expect me to then go into the next set with a crippled crew that's got damage all over the place, no abilities and that. No, I'm sorry. We heal up and we refresh, and I want to keep my abilities. Although, I think on this occasion I'm ditching the abilities, but I think in a second playthrough I'm going to house rule that you keep the ability cards, because I just think that is too painful. Too painful to lose everything. So, that is the thing. A lot of the stuff in this is just so hard. There's a lot of drawing from that fate deck in order to get the number you want, but it's hard to meet the challenges. Challenge ratings are like 7, 8, 9 on a regular basis. You exhaust a crew member to get their skill value. Most of the time, you're only going to get +2 from 1 crew member. So if you're going to do a 7, 8, or 9, you're going to have to exhaust probably a good 2 crew members at least to get a half-decent challenge, and that's if you've upgraded their abilities to get 2 of whatever icon it is in the first place. You might be able to get them up to 3, but then you're still probably going to need a second person. Yeah, you pick your battles and you take damage where, you say, you know what, I'll just fail this test and trust the fate deck, but you do that too often, you're going to get crippled again. So, and the challenge ratings need to be lower. I mean, I'm coming up against 7, 8s, and 9s on a regular basis now. Imagine if I sailed further away from my starting map. I'd probably find like 10s, pluses. And when you see a 10, you just give up. It's like, I'm not fatiguing everybody I know to pass a 10 test. It's insane. So, it's hampering my enjoyment. I've talked a lot of praise about the game in general, but this difficulty is really impacting it. And I'm seeing it in campaign games all the way. For some reason, they feel like they've got to punch you in the face in these things. Why can't they just let us enjoy the story with a little bit of a challenge? Oh, Major Ant. I need a drink from that. Alright, so, despite ranting, is there a solution? Potentially. Ryan Nugget has come out on Kickstarter with an easy mode. So I think the easy mode is there. Yes, I don't know if you'll be able to see it easily. Let me try and zoom in for you. Yep, so basically, he's got some tips for surviving it, right? So I'm just going to go through these very briefly because I think I've talked about this too much. When you're presented with combat, you can see the difficulty level before you start. I'm coming across a lot of level 10, 11s often with this thing. He says level 14 is very hard. Level 3? When was the last time I saw a level 3 combat? I have seen no combat less than 7, I think, so far. So don't know where this 3, 4, 5, and 6 is from. But many times you have the option of avoiding combat. 50-50, I'd say, on that one. I'm finding sometimes I can avoid combat, but then there's a lot of times where I'm forced into it. Well, if I'm forced into it, I can't exactly help that. But it then goes on. If you can't avoid combat and you die, don't worry too much. The game is designed knowing this will happen. Follow directions to return to the nearest port and remove all damage. So, you know, but the problem is losing all your stuff and then restarting again, you've got to build back up again, and that's always a bit of a pain. Sleeping Gods is all about balancing resources. Don't use crew members on every challenge. Well, I know that, but still, you know, you've got to gain fatigue every time you use the people, or the skill number is low, don't worry about it. Skill number 4 to 6, where are these challenges that are 4 to 6? I am finding 7, 8s, and 9s regularly. 4 to 6, I mean, 6 is still fairly hard. I mean, you still got to trust and get a 4 out of that fate deck, which is not that easy. But I want to see these challenges that are 4 and 5. I mean, I'd like to see a challenge that's just 2 or 3, to be honest. It'd be nice. But nope, there's a lot of them. Things are consistently too hard. Slow down. Don't leave the starting map too early. I practically have got through 18 turns of the game, and I've only just started to leave the starting map to the next one along. How long do I need to spend in the starting map before you claim it's too soon? You know, get more ability cards, get more level cards and stuff. But level cards, you need XP to get those. There's 9 characters. Right, 9 characters here for XP. Most stuff gets you 1 XP a time. Rarely does something get you 2. Most of the time it's 1 XP, right? Minimum these cards cost 3 to 5 XP to buy one. For 1 character, 1 card. Most of those aren't even that good. I mean, they're okay, it's a nice little boost, but they're not that great. The really good ones are 6 and 7 XP. 7. So I've got to essentially get through at least 7 combat/major events to get XP 7, to get 1 card for 1 character. I have gone through nearly all that deck. I have found a total of, I spent 5 on one thing earlier, and now I've got 7. So I've got 12 XP going through the deck once. 12. So I've got 1 card that's not even that great, and I'll soon be able to get 1 cool card. But that's taking me like 1 run through of the deck. You know, that's a slow progression of XP, especially when for all that time you kind of need to upgrade yourself in some respect. Money, most weapons that are any good cost 10 to 15 coins. Good luck getting 10 to 15 coins on a regular basis when most stuff gets you 1 or 2. Like I say, you just don't progress fast enough to keep up with the difficulty curve. So try to get some better recipes in the early maps before moving on to the other maps. Yes, I've done that. I've got some better recipes. Still require a lot of food. Make sure to use Gloria. Her ability is extremely useful. It's fine, you draw 2 ability cards, but sometimes you keep them in your hand, you don't get to use them. And yeah, her ability is useful, and I'm using it. That's not exactly breaking the game for me, though. And getting better weapons makes a huge difference in combat. Yeah, well, if you didn't make them so expensive, I mean, I've got 1 weapon on somebody that only costs 5, but it's not that great a weapon. It's just super accurate, but it's not high damage. You know, I haven't even used it yet. So, you know, you really need a lot of money to get a decent weapon. So, yes, I'm following a lot of your strategy tips, but it's not working as well as you might think. So he's come up with easy mode, and I am going to say this right now. Next campaign I do, I'm playing on easy mode. Hands down. In fact, I am playing every single campaign on easy mode from now on, and I do strongly advise you, if you are new to this game and you are getting it, play it on easy mode, play it on easy mode, play it on easy mode. So here you go. If you're finding it extra difficult and having a negative experience because of it, I suggest starting a new campaign in this new official easy mode. Want you to have a positive experience, and this may be right for your playstyle. No, it may be right for the game, mate. Start the game with 20 XP, 20 starting coins, 1 meat, 1 grain, 1 veg. Well, the meat, grain, and veg would be due. I mean, you can get meat, grain, and veg, not too bad. Starting with 1 of each is not the best thing ever. 20 starting coins, though, is pretty good, because you start off with, like 2 or some, ridiculously small amount of coins, so another 20 is good, and that would allow you to go off and get yourself 1 really good weapon or a few decent bits of equipment, off the bat. Cool. I mean, 20 is still not a huge amount of coins when you think about it, but still, it's better than nothing. And start the game with 20 XP. Now, that is worth it. That is definitely worth it, because that could get you a couple, 2 or 3 really good cards, or you could get yourself a few of the average cards. That is really good. And then when your crew reaches 0 health, you also gain some XP, remove all fatigue, gain some coins and command. Great. So you're not completely starting from scratch. And the active player gets an extra command at the start of their turn, so you basically get 1 extra command on top of what you normally get. I didn't desperately find I was running out of command unless I was really splashing out on abilities, but fine, we'll take it. But yeah, I'm playing this mode every single time. Every single time, doing easy mode. And I might even go further to say that when you get through the deck, you keep the ability cards that you have, because frankly, the ability cards are not the best thing ever, but maybe if I kept them, I'd have less reason to spend command. But then I feel like you need the command for a lot of stuff. So we'll see on that front. Maybe that's too generous a house rule, but I'm certainly going to use easy mode. I mean, I'm going to play for the rest of this on normal and see how I get on, and maybe house rule 1 or 2 things for normal, keep the ability cards the next time the deck shuffles just because it's normal mode. But yeah, I'm using this now. Hands down. And maybe that will be what bumps it up to a 9 out of 10 for me. But at the moment, I'm thinking first impressions, I'm on an 8 out of 10 because, there are some rulebook ambiguities and it is a long campaign you got to get through. It's a lot of turns and it's not the quickest thing that you're going to do, even solo, as I'm finding. It still takes a while to get through, various rounds. And that difficulty curve is such a problem that it loses a whole point for that difficulty curve. But a lot of other stuff in this is really good, and that's why this is a hard one to talk about, because the game itself is really solid, and I want it to be a 10 out of 10 word game. I don't think it's going to reach a 10, but I'll be happy if it reaches a 9, and for that, the easy mode is going to have to win me over. That's essentially it. If you were playing this, like I said, on brutal mode, you are crazy, mad, and I think you're playing this wrong or cheating or getting the rules wrong or something, because I don't think it's physically possible to survive this game on brutal mode. It's already problematic on normal mode. So, just a thing for publishers out there, if any of you actually bother to listen to this, seriously, stop making your games ridiculously hard, okay? Why don't you make the game relatively easy for now, but then put a lot of content so that, like in this game, we've got plenty enough to search for, but then put difficulty tweaks for normal, make a normal setting that's the equivalent of easy, and then make hard and brutal mode. You could have 2 harder difficulties that if we want to have a harder experience, we can go straight into that. But why don't you make this equivalent of easy mode to begin with, and then we decide that we go into harder modes, because nobody is going to complain that the game is too easy, any more than most people will worry that a game is too hard rather than it's too easy, especially for a co-op that they're going to show family members. You want to have kids get this kind of brutality, but have it on easy mode with some harder difficulty tweaks. It's much better to play a game once, enjoy it, and go, that was enjoyable, but I found it a little easy. Oh, well, cool, let's play it on a harder setting, than to get punched in the face repeatedly on hard setting first, then only to be told that we can soothe it a little bit with easy mode. No, easy mode should have been the standard, then the hard mode. Get it right, people, all right? I'm starting to get a little bit sick of this, top 10 pet hates that publishers need to stop doing. This is one of those top 10 hates. So, yeah, as I say, I'm liking the game. It's just that is kind of really annoying me. So that's it for that. So I'm going to shut off this podcast now because I need to get on and cook some dinner. So I'll try and edit this later and get it up for you. And then I'll see about doing that trial video as I mentioned. But, thank you for listening. Remember to check out the codes in the description for a lot of my videos for the Zatu 5% discount code. If you're ordering from zatu.co.uk, you can get 5% discount on your entire basket of games. No questions asked, no limit. Just find the code in the description to my video content and, make yourself a saving and buy some games for as we start approaching the end of UK lockdown. Because, Wolfman, I have to basically, wax my hair and comb it back, properly comb it back to look like this. This is the best I can do with my hair at the moment. It makes me look even worse because I'm trialing out the beard. But as soon as we get to the 12th of April when hairdressers open, this is getting cut like crazy. Then I can see if the beard works with the normal hairstyle I have. And if I don't like it, then I'll go down to a Pierce Brosnan stubble length, which is typically what I like having, the 10-day stubble length that Pierce Brosnan kind of has a lot of the time. That's my favorite type of beard, but I'm just trialing a short beard at the moment. I don't want any longer than this, ideally, but we'll see. But yeah, combined with this, it's just kind of ridiculous. But yeah, the end is in sight. I need to get back to the gym so bad. I am weak. I am lethargic. I need the gym 3 times a week minimum. I'm going back there. I'm going to try and go 4 times a week if I can help it. I'm going to go mad at the gym when we open those up. And soon we'll be able to do some more indoor socializing. Cafes can open again from mid-May. Come on. We're getting there. My sanity has just got to last a bit longer, but it's hard. And my job is not making life easy either. So, like I say, got to get through it. Take care. See you on the next Broken Meeple video and podcast. And remember, as always, it's only a game. Bye for now and love you all. Take care. # support small creators. Bye for now.